Whispers. Today, I'll be reading facts about the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The 7 wonders of the ancient world. When I was doing the U.S. National Parks facts video, it said that the Grand Canyon was one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. And so, I want to learn more about the 7 ancient wonders of the world. And maybe I'll do another video on the natural wonders and another video on the new wonders. But I wanted to start off with the original 7 wonders of the ancient world. And let's get started. So, put down your phone and close your eyes. Close your eyes. And relax to 7 wonders of the ancient world. Facts. The amazing works of art and architecture known as the 7 wonders of the ancient world serves as a testament to the ingenuity, imagination, and sheer hard work of which human beings are capable. They are also, however, reminders of human capacity for disagreement, destruction, and possibly embellishment. As soon as ancient writers compiled a list of 7 wonders, it became fodder for debate over which achievements deserved inclusion. The original list comes from a work by Philo of Byzantium, written in 225 BC, called On the 7 Wonders. Ultimately, human hands joined with natural forces to destroy all but one of the wonders. Furthermore, it is possible that at least one of the wonders might have not existed at all. Still, all 7 continue to inspire and be celebrated as the remarkable products of creativity and skill of Earth's early civilizations. I love the mystery behind it. It's like, did they exist? I know, we'll get to it, but I think it's like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Did they exist? It's like we know the Great Pyramids of Giza existed because they're still there today. And that is the first one on this list. The first 7 wonder is Great Pyramids of Giza in Egypt. The Great Pyramid, located at Giza on the west bank of the Nile River, north of Cairo in Egypt, is the only wonder of the ancient world that has survived to present day. It is part of a group of 3 pyramids that were built between 2700 BC and 2500 BC as royal tombs. The largest and most impressive is Khufu, Khufu, known as the Great Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, which covers 13 acres and is believed to contain more than 2 million stone blocks that weigh from 2 to 30 tons each. For more than 4,000 years, Khufu reigned as the tallest building in the world, in the world. In fact, it took modern man until the 19th century to build a taller structure. Amazingly, the nearly symmetrical Egyptian pyramids were built without the aid of modern tools or surveying equipment. So how did Egyptians build the pyramids? Scientists believe that the Egyptians used log rollers and sledges to move the stones into place. The sloped walls, which were intended to mimic the rays of Ra, the sun god, were originally built as steps and then filled in with limestone. The interior of the pyramids included narrow corridors and hidden chambers in an unsuccessful attempt to foil grave robbers. Although modern archaeologists have found some great treasures among the ruins, they believe most of what the pyramids once contained was looted within 250 years of their completion. The crazy thing about that is that they could still exist. Like, even if they were looted 250 years after the grave's completion, they could still exist out in this world. Wow, all of that gave me chills, especially about that it wasn't until the 19th century that modern man built a building as tall as the pyramids, because obviously the pyramids are massive in width, they're just huge. Buildings in modern cities aren't that wide. And we have modern construction, materials, and also tools. So that's crazy. Honestly, how did they build the pyramids? How did they do it? They can speculate all they want, but god damn it, that's so impressive. And then on top of it, they made ornate insides of the pyramids. I don't know. That's just crazy. That's crazy. And they're still there today. Number 2. Wonder number 2 is, in this article, is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. According to ancient Greek poets, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built near the Euphrates River in modern-day Iraq 600 BC. The gardens were said to have been planted as high as 75 feet in the air on a huge square brick terrace that was laid out in steps like a theater. The king allegedly built the towering gardens to ease his lover, Amytis, that's Amytis, to his lover's homesickness for the natural beauty of her home in Media, which is the northwest part of modern-day Iran. Later, writers described how people could walk underneath the beautiful gardens, which rested on tall stone columns. Modern scientists have deduced that for the gardens to survive, they would have had to be irrigated using a system consisting of a pump, water wheel, and cisterns to carry water from the Euphrates River many feet into the air. Though there are multiple accounts of the gardens in both Greek and Roman literature, none of them are first-hand, and no mention of the gardens has been found in Babylonian inscriptions. As a result, most modern scholars believe that the existence of the gardens was part of an inspired and wildly believed but still fictional tale. Okay, so like Greek and Roman people wrote about the gardens, but they were never like, okay, I just got back from the hanging gardens of Babylon, and this is what I saw. It was just people talking about going there. Wow. On the irrigation system, couldn't they have just watered these plants? I mean, I guess if there were trees and stuff growing on levels above, they would have had to have, like, brought a lot of water to them, I guess. But it's a mystery, we'll never know, never know. Ancient wonder number three is Statue of Zeus at Olympia. Statue of Zeus at Olympia. The famed statue of Zeus, the was believed to be destroyed in a fire in the year 462. Wow, they couldn't have just left it there. They couldn't have just left it at Olympia. I can't imagine, like, it traveling from Greece to Constantinople and surviving that, and then for it to be destroyed in a fire. The next ancient wonder is the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. It's Ebhesus. And there is actually more than one Temple of Artemis. A series of several altars and temples were destroyed and then restored on the same site in Ephesus, a Greek port city on the west coast of modern-day Turkey. The most fabulous of these structures were two marble temples built around 550 BC and 350 BC, respectively. Apart from Olympus, the sun never looked on anything so grand. A writer wrote of the temple at Artemis. That's beautiful. The original Temple of Artemis was designed by an architect and his son and decorated by some of the most celebrated artists of the ancient world. The building burned on July 21st, 356 BC. According to the legend, that same night that Alexander the Great was born, it was torched by a Greek civilian who claimed he burned the marvel so that his name would be known in history. He was put to death, and the government declared it illegal to utter his name. Nice. About 6 years later, the building of the new Temple of Artemis was begun. The new building was surrounded by marble steps that led to more than 400-foot-long terrace. Inside stood 127 60-foot marble columns and a statue of Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt. Archaeologists disagree as to whether the building had open-air ceiling or was topped with wood tiles. The temple was largely destroyed in 262 AD, and it was not until the 1860s that archaeologists dug up the first of the ruins of the temple's columns at the bottom of the Cayster River, Cayster. The next ancient wonder is the Mausoleum. I don't know why I looked at that word and I was like, that's Mausoleum. Mausoleum at Ali Karnassus. Ali Karnassus. I'm sorry that so many of these are so hard for me to pronounce. Located, and I've never actually heard of this one. I feel like I've heard of the rest of them. I've heard of the last two, but I haven't heard of was Mausoleum. The king of Carnia in Asia Minor, after his death in 353 BC. He was also her brother. He was also his wife's brother. And according to legend, she was so grief-stricken at his passing that she mixed his ashes with water and drank them, in addition to ordering the mausoleum's construction. Wow. The massive mausoleum was made entirely of white marble and is thought to have been about 135 feet high. The building's complicated design, consisting of 3 rectangular layers, may have been an attempt to reconcile with Greek and Egyptian architectural styles. The first layer was a 60-foot base of steps, followed by a middle layer of 36 ionic columns and a steeped pyramid-shaped roof. At the very top of the roof lay the tomb, decorated by the work of 4 sculptors and a 20-foot marble rendition of a 4-horse chariot. The mausoleum was greatly destroyed in an earthquake in the 13th century, and remains were later used in the fortification of a castle. In 1846, pieces of one of the mausoleums was extracted from the castle and now reside along with other relics of the Ali Karnassus site in London's British Museum. See, imagine getting to a wreckage of a museum, a mausoleum, not even knowing what it was, and being like, I'm gonna use these materials for a castle, and then finding out that this was one of the 7 wonders of the world. 7 wonders of the world as determined by, what did it say at the top of this? Somebody in 225 BC. That's crazy. When they said ionic columns, I was like, at some point, I knew different column types. I just looked it up. Why can't I find the other ones? Oh yeah, ionic, Doric. There was something else. And these are Corinthian. Yeah, at one point I knew something about these columns. Colossus of Rhodes. I've heard of this one. The Colossus of Rhodes was an enormous bronze sculpture of the sun god Helios, built by the Rhodians over 12 years in the 3rd century BC. The city was the target of Macedonian siege in early 4th century BC, and according to legend, the Rhodanians sold the tools and equipment they left behind by the Macedonians to pay for Colossus. Designed by the sculptor Charles, the statue was at 100 feet, the tallest of the ancient world. It was completed around 280 BC and stood for 60 years until it was toppled in an earthquake. It was never rebuilt. Hundreds of years later, Arabs invaded Rhodes masses of roads. And the last wonder is the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was located on a small island called Pharos near the city of Alexandria, designed by the Greek architect Sostratos and completed around 270 BC during the reign of Ptolemy II. The lighthouse helped guide Nile River ships in and out of the city's busy harbor. Archaeologists have found ancient coins on which the lighthouse was depicted, and from them deducted that the structure had 3 tiers: a square level at the bottom, an octagonal level in the middle, and a cylindrical level at the top. Above stood a 16-foot statue, most likely of Ptolemy II or Alexander the Great, for whom the city was named. Although estimates of the lighthouse site have ranged from 200 to 600 feet, most modern scholars believed it was about 380 feet tall. The lighthouse was gradually destroyed during a series of earthquakes from 1956 to 1323. Some of its remains have been since discovered at the bottom of the Nile River. It's crazy about these ancient wonders too, because they're all located in one general area. When I was going to college in Richmond, Virginia, there was an exhibit once at the local museum there of the Terracotta Army that was in China, and that was so freaking cool. I think that was also in BC. Let me just look that up. Terracotta Army. Yeah, it was built in 210 BC. So kind of around the same time. I guess that would have actually been after they wrote about all of these ancient wonders. But just thinking about all of the wonders that were elsewhere in the world that these writers didn't even know about. Anyway, this article ends talking about the 7 new seven wonders of the world. It says, in 2007, the New 7 Wonders Foundation held a contest to name the 7 new wonders of the world. Tens of millions of people voted, and they span 4 continents and attract thousands of tourists each year. They are the Great Wall of China. They say that's built in 220 BC. The Taj Mahal, built in 1832 AD. Petra in Jordan, built in 4th century BC to 2nd century AD. The Colosseum in Rome, built AD 72. Christ the Redeemer statue in Brazil, built in 1926. Chichen Itza in Mexico, built in 5th to 13th century AD, so that was built in AD. And Machu Picchu places claiming to be the 8th wonder of the world. Anyway, I hope you found that relaxing, and that you could doze off to sleep, hearing about these historical people, places, and events. So anyway, I'm just going to say,